In this engaging conversation, Diana Garrison of Crooked Little Studio shares her artistic journey focusing on gel printing and mixed media. She discusses her unique approach to creativity, emphasizing the importance of randomness and limited materials. Diana also highlights her experiences in the art community, the impact of sharing her work online, and the development of her courses, including her newest course, Pandora's Palette. Throughout the discussion, she offers valuable insights into the intuitive gel printing process and the joy of teaching others. Hi, my name is Cindy Jones-Lantier, and I'm the host of Beyond the Brayer. I'm a longtime gel printer and the owner and admin of the popular Gel Print Enthusiast group on Facebook. Before we get into this episode, I want to invite you, if you're into gel printing, and I assume you are, I'd love it if you join us in the Gel Print Enthusiast group. Just look for us on Facebook. If you're not on Facebook, follow Beyond the Brayer on Instagram to keep up with the latest podcast news. Be sure to hang around until the end of the episode because Diana has a special gift for you if you're interested in her courses. Now, let's meet Diana of Crooked Little Studio. Diana Garrison, owner of Crooked Little Studios, is a passionate gel printing and mixed media instructor known for her innovative approach to art. With a background in graphic design and 21 years of teaching experience under her belt, she has honed her craft over the last few years by working with the color gods and the paper Pixies to create stunning, unpredictable works of art. Diana's unique process emphasizes the beauty of randomness and the creativity that flourishes with limited materials. She has taught numerous workshops and courses, inspiring students with her playful and experimental techniques. Diana believes that embracing the unexpected in art can lead to the most rewarding creative experiences. When she's not in her studio, Diana enjoys watching the birds, rabbits, and other critters who live near her home and going fishing with her husband. Nature often inspires her artistic practice. Connect with her on Instagram at Crooked Little Studio or on Facebook at Crooked Little Studio to explore her latest projects and join her upcoming classes. So welcome, Diana. I'm so glad to have you here.
Thank you, Cindy. It's so good to be here. Thank you for having me.
Of course, I can't decide what to ask first. I have questions. First of all, what are the color gods in the paper Pixies that I referred to in the introduction?
Okay, the color gods. They are basically my way of choosing random colors. And I can get into why I use random colors, but basically right now, the color gods, it's my grandmother's coffee cup with little wooden sticks that have all the names of all my paint colors written on them. So typically I'm working with 3 colors. I'll just randomly draw out 3, and I attribute that to just consulting with the color gods.
And the paper Pixies?
The paper Pixies, when I decide I'm going to use some collage, I like to collage different papers, typically gel printed papers in between layers of gel prints. So especially when I was doing the 100-day project for the last couple of years, the paper Pixies have been with me. So basically it's a collection of random papers that are put in this random order in a box, and I pull out whichever one is on top.
Cool.
I'm using random papers as well on occasion.
Cool. So you're really into the random thing.
I am. You can do a lot with random. Just using random colors where, okay, this is what you have to work with. It, to me, sparks creativity because you have to figure out how to use them together and make them work. And I love that.
Limited supplies do spark my creativity. I have all the things like most of us do.
I've got all the things too.
Yeah. And sometimes I get overwhelmed by what to use and I just don't do anything. So the limited palette really does. I've gone to a 3-color black and white palette. And even though I can make every color just about with my 3 colors, my yellow, blue, and magenta, I still am starting with a limited palette and I have to think about what to do. It's not just grab a tube of paint and squirt it.
Right. Because you're having to mix.
Yeah.
You've got the primaries, right?
So why do you call your studio Crooked Little Studio? That's my next question.
That goes way back, probably, 20, more than 20 years ago. in a former life with a former husband. We hired somebody, we got a discount from this contractor to add on studio space. It was 20 by 20 on the back side of a workshop, and just hired him to do the foundation, the external walls, the roof, and we were going to finish it out on the inside. I think because of the discount, he had his least experienced crew members on that job. I don't know. We went to build shelves and sheetrock, put up the
Uh-huh.
sheetrock, and learned very quickly that nothing was square. Everything was crooked. And I was doing much of the taping and floating on the sheetrock myself, and I'm inexperienced, or I wasn't experienced at that, and the crookedness made it even more difficult. And so I was grumbling one day about my crooked little studio, and I stopped and I went, "That's a cool name." So it stuck. Every place I've been since then, there's been a little bit of something out of whack in any studio. I think the studio I'm in now, which is one of my favorite places in the whole wide world, my new husband, helped me renovate it last fall. And it's really nice in here. It's very inspirational. I have workshops in here. But if you were to like put a marble down on the floor, it would roll into the closet. It's got a little bit of crooked still, so the name still fits.
Excellent, excellent. So, how did you get started with gel printing?
Okay, 2020, summer 2020, I was working as a virtual teacher. I was teaching public school students across the state of Arkansas. And every summer, teachers have to have 30 hours of professional development. Sometimes it's dictated to you what you have to do, which is a drag. But
Yes.
that summer, we got to choose the professional development we wanted to do. And there was an instructor in a nearby town offering gel printing, collage, collagraph on different days. And I took her 3 classes. And I had heard of gel printing before. I didn't know what it was. I'd never seen it done. But being the summer of COVID, I was going to go drive 40 minutes away and all the stuff was going to be available to me. She had to take it online, and her
Mhm.
budget allowed her to send each participant one 5x7 gel plate and one bottle of craft paint. That was it. But I borrowed my husband's acrylic paints. My husband's a painter, and he was working on a series of acrylic paintings at the time. I borrowed his paints so that I had some paints to use. I had already been doing relief printing, so I had the brayer. And oh my gosh, I loved it. I loved it. I loved it. It was so immediate. I was used to doing the soft cut vinyl and everything, which I enjoyed that a lot, but just that I could make something so quickly that it was fast. And it was summer of COVID. I was in my studio almost every day, printing every day, and I'd have a couple dozen pieces of paper on the floor when I was finished because that's where everything was drying. And I loved it, and I just kept with it, and I've stuck with it. It's been 5 years now, but I'm still going strong with it.
Yeah, that's a real love story, the serendipity of how you just happened to.
I did. I've never worked this fast. I've always been very slow and meticulous. It takes me forever to do something. This one, I don't know. I guess I was able to work at the pace that I probably really needed to be working at anyway.
You found your groove.
I found my groove. That's a good way to say it. Yes. I found my groove.
So, how would you describe your gel print style?
It's kind of a hodgepodge. Mostly, I'm inspired by nature. I love being outside. I love looking at all the little critters and the flowers and the leaves and everything. So a lot of things I was doing in the beginning were botanical prints.
Mhm.
And then I got to where I wanted to compose things a little bit differently. I started making my own masks and stencils of plants that looked like they were 3 dimensional rather than just like a flat leaf. That nature inspires me. Being a graphic design major, I love typography also.
Yes.
I found at the dollar store the bulletin board letters for teachers. So I've added typography in, and sometimes I combine the two. Those are my primary inspirations, I think.
So, what are your go-to materials and tools besides your grandmother's coffee cup?
The Liquitex Basics paints, I think, are probably my favorites, although I'm going to be working with Golden Open a little bit more. The soft rubber brayers by Speedball. I like to make my masks and stencils out of cardstock. They don't last forever, but I like the outlines that they'll create when they're
Yes,
still
yes,
relatively new.
you
Yes.
taught me that. I love that. So, do you typically plan your prints or do you work more intuitively?
Almost always they're intuitive. I just start. It's getting those random colors. I start pretty quickly because of that. I work on three at a time. I've got a registration system where everything's going down on the plate in the same place every time. And so I work on a series of three most of the time. So I just start by putting some color down. And then the colors often will spark the idea of which stencils. And I've got a bunch of them, 5 years of making them. I've got a bunch. So the colors kind of inspire the stencils that I'm going to use. And I'll start with something somewhere. It doesn't really matter. I just do something to start. And then I start responding to what's already printed on the page, what I'm going to do next. And yeah, that's how I like to work. Almost all of it's intuitive.
What have been your biggest aha moments with gel printing?
That one came early on, I think. That was when that summer that I was printing and printing and printing. And I was every single time I was filling the entire plate with whatever color it was, and then blocking, masking, texture, whatever. And at one point I went, I really want the purple just right here in this spot. And that's when it hit me that I didn't have to put the entire plate did not have to be filled with paint every time. And once I got there to that point, it was game over. I just like, okay, I want this here and I want this over here and this. So I just figured out how to block that out and make it work. Yeah, that was a game changer for me.
That really emphasizes one of my pet things about gel printing, and that is that you have to experiment and play. You have
Yes.
to put in the hours, you have to learn the basics, you have to do the work, and
Right.
you spark ideas and things. I run the gel print enthusiast group on Facebook, and because I run it, I let people in and they have questions to answer to get
Right.
in. I know they're not bots. And one of the questions I ask is, well, two of the questions I ask. One is, what is your experience with gel printing? And what do you want to learn from this group? And inevitably, total beginners want to learn image transfers. And I'm like, you got a long way to go before you can perfect the image transfer. I mean, you can do
Right.
one. I did my first one by accident with a magazine. I was using it as a mask, a shape of a mask, and it transferred onto the plate. So you can do them as a beginner, but you'll have a lot of frustrations
Right.
until you learn about how much paint to put down and how dry to let things get and all of
Mm-hmm.
that.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, you really just underscored for me the importance of the playing and getting your
Just
papers
play.
in.
Just play, definitely.
So that was really my next question was about a happy accident, but that was kind of a happy accident too, wasn't it?
That was kind of a happy accident. I do remember one day, I was playing around. I started a while back doing prints where you're just kind of building up color and then you do a kind of what I call negative printing. I've got an example. I just happen to have one sitting right here
Oh,
where
pretty.
this layer was the last layer and then it's got acrylic paint on it. But I was just one day just using my random colors to just have some nice color in the background with the intention of doing something like that with it. And it was blues and greens. They were kind of analogous colors and it just needed some life. I love warm colors, but sometimes the color gods give me something totally the opposite.
Yes.
And I just thought, this needs some life. This needs a spark. Went over to my paints and I looked and I picked up fluorescent red. I know. It was like, I'm just going to see what happens. That's another attitude that's good to have. I'm just going to see what happens. And I
Mm-hmm.
had a stencil that I liked that it blocked out most of the paint, but put small little areas in kind of a random pattern. And so I rolled out the fluorescent red and used that and printed on top of that cool colors. I fell in love. I fell in love with that print. I mean, I still have not yet done this process on it, but fluorescent colors on top of what's already there, when they're on top of other colors, especially colors that are different, like warm on top of cool, they're not quite so bold and harsh.
Mhm.
But the fact that they're transparent and they're visually blending with those colors underneath, it was just gorgeousness. I often will, the color gods will give me their three colors, and then I often go back in on the top, the last layer or two, with a fluorescent in some way that just brings a pop to it. I love doing that.
Well, I'll have to try that. Thanks for mentioning it.
Yep, yep.
So, what is the role of the gel print community in your creative life? I know you're very active on socials.
I am active on socials. I have a lot of wonderful, wonderful followers on both Instagram and Facebook. It's humbling, really, to have the followers like that who, even if it's just a heart or a comment or whatever, just kind of lifting me up and keeping me going, and that makes me want to inspire them as much as I can. So I do what I can to participate in that. But I also have in-person workshops that I like to do. I've been to different parts of Arkansas with arts organizations doing workshops for them, and it's really been good uh, for me to find like-minded people because we moved here. I mean, I grew up in Arkansas, but not in Hot Springs, and we moved here about 12 years ago. And I have friends here, but it's hard to meet people when you're our age and
Yes.
you're moving to a new place. Everybody's already gotten their friends, and so it's kind of hard to get in. So it's been really nice just finding people just in the local area who come by. And I've even had people from, gosh, Florida, Oregon, Kansas City, like intentionally plan a vacation in Hot Springs so that they can come by and do a workshop with me. So
Wonderful.
it's been very gratifying and it really does my heart good.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, that would. I used to be a soap maker, and I had someone come 50 miles to buy a bar of my soap because she'd moved and I
That's
didn't do
right.
mail order. So I know the same feeling.
Right, right.
So how has sharing your work online shaped your journey?
Gosh, in ways I didn't completely understand when I started. I was on Facebook. It was in 2020. Somebody kept telling me, I can't remember who it was, kept telling me you should be on Instagram. That's where the artists are. And my older son, he's a runner. He had a huge following on TikTok. Mom, get on TikTok. I tried TikTok. I didn't like TikTok. But Instagram, my thought was at that point, COVID, virtual teaching with COVID was basically non-existent that spring. And then the following year, it just was worse. I was to the point where I wanted to do something different. I wanted to change and I wanted to be my own boss. I wasn't sure what that was going to look like. I just thought, I'm just going to show up. I'm just going to start putting stuff out there. And it just coincided with this gel printing class that I was in love with it. And it just kind of created a life of its own without my knowing what it was going to be. I thought it was going to be selling my artwork, which I, within a few weeks of being on Instagram, I had somebody reach out and like, hey, I want to buy that print. And then that was the only one I ever sold like that ever.
Yeah.
But then it was, hey, how did you do that? What paper are you using? How, did you make that stencil? And it just kind of like, okay, I know which direction I need to head in. I'm a teacher. I can teach this. And that's kind of how it went. And it's so nice, whether it's people buying my online courses or walking into a room where there's a workshop and there are a dozen people in there and seeing their faces going, teach us what you know. We want to learn. We want to learn. As opposed to being a virtual teacher and there's a kid in there who's there only because the facilitator in the classroom made him be there and he's talking to somebody else. It's
Right.
just so much more fulfilling and rewarding. I love
I
it.
love teaching adults because
Yes,
they want to be there. They're interested in the topic, especially what some might call hobby teaching or craft teaching,
right, right.
because
So
they're
I love it.
interested.
I love it. Yep.
Yeah. I took your lots of layers course and had a really good experience. I learned a new way of looking at gel printing
I'm so
because I
glad.
had been the just slather it on, pull it off, slather it on, pull it off, throw down a stencil, slather it on, pull, that had
Right.
been what I knew. So I really appreciated that class. It was the first time I usually make collage papers or book papers or something like that. So it was the first time I seriously looked at printing as a print.
Uh-huh.
So I really, really appreciated that class. I understand you have a new course, Pandora's Palette. Can you tell us
Yes.
a little bit about both courses?
The main Pandora's palette focuses on color. Lots of layers, you know, color was in that one as well. We went through 5 different color schemes, the monochromatic, black and white, monochromatic, analogous, complementary, and then we went random. So that's building up, composing as you go, responding to what's already on there, and then composing, deciding how you're going to balance it out with the next layer, and so on. Pandora's palette is actually, it's going to be sold in 2 parts. By the time the podcast comes out, I think it's already going to be
I think it
available.
will
But
be.
I'm just about to release it right now as we speak. 2 parts to Pandora's palette. The first part is layering color to get these unexpected surprises and what you can do with the color layering. I can show you a book I have if it will translate well. Want me to give it a try?
Well, let me say, some people will be listening to this on audio, so go to YouTube and check out the video so you can see the visuals. So, yeah.
Okay, good. Okay, good. I'm glad that's an option. Okay, so I was always getting the question, do I work light to dark or dark to light? And it all depends on the paint that you're using and the opacity of the paint and the value of the paint and all of that. And I would be in in-person classes and I would see somebody say print a transparent yellow on top of a green and they're like confused because they're not seeing the color that's in the tube. And so I'm like, how do I show people how to determine which colors are going to look good on top of others and all of that? So I was just in my studio trying to figure out the best way to do that. And this is like the first experiment, if I'll say, because I knew it was going to lead to, this type of print where you're printing the background last. So that's
Mhm.
another thing with Pandora's palette. You're not worrying about composition until you're ready to put the stencil over the top. So these are 3 colors. This is a light blue permanent, flesh yellow, and yellow medium. And then these are the same 3 colors printed in a different order.
Wow. I
Okay.
wish for those of you listening on audio, go check out the video because it is amazing the difference between those two prints just in the order that she layered the paint.
Right. So I kept experimenting. I did some colors that were like I was drawing them out randomly. The color gods were helping me. So when you're using colors that are similar, you don't get a big variety,
Right.
or as big. And then I did this combination. Okay. This was the first one I did. This is violet, grass green, and rouge. You can't even tell there's green in there because it turns black. It turns this beautiful, rich black. Okay. So then I printed it with the rouge first. So that turned out really nice. And then I printed the green first and just about fell out of my chair.
Oh my goodness, that looks like you used 3 completely different palettes.
Right.
I cannot
So
wait to take this course.
the first part is you're simply putting together a color resource book or box or whatever. You could call it your Pandora's box if you wanted to.
Right.
But this is where I ended up with it. You're using whatever stencils you have, and it's just a process that I take you through where you can do this with your colors to determine, and both of these are created with the same 3 colors, by the way.
One of them, for those on audio, one of them has a yellow background with red circles and some other colors, some green and looks like some green over the red. The other one has green, light blue, and dark blue
Mhm.
and black is what it looks like, how it reads.
Right. But yeah. So Pandora's palette is discovering color magic with the paint colors you already have. But there's a certain way, and I take you through all of it in the course, certain way to apply your paint to get the best results from that. And then the second part, and you can just do the color study if you want to. If you want to choose, if you already feel like I know what color layering is all about and I just want to do the second part, it's available separately. So you can buy them together or separately, it doesn't matter. But then I take you through doing things like that first one I showed you. Just kind of at more advanced color techniques so that you end up with very harmonious prints that are frameable. Okay,
Yes,
not
they
just
are. They
right.
are. They're lovely.
Thank you.
Cannot wait. I am so excited that the first part especially just really because it emphasizes again the importance of learning your materials, and that's what I'm about is you
Right.
have to learn your materials, you have to play, you have to experiment,
Mm-hmm.
and if you can cut the learning curve by taking a course, I'm all for that. That's all the better
Exactly.
because it doesn't just cut the learning curve, it cuts the frustration curve.
It does. It does. So you'll end up with a beautiful resource. You'll just go back to it over and over again. And it'll be up to you how you organize it. You can put it in a book like I did. You can clip them together in groups or whatever works best for you.
That is so exciting. I cannot wait. I've been on the wait list, and so I've seen some of the pictures, and
Hmm.
it was exciting. And even reading the description, I'm like, oh, I want to take that. But now to hear you talk about it and to see the examples,
Right.
you just need to go all over on video and show those prints to sell the course.
I will do that.
Yeah. So, where can listeners find you online?
I am on Instagram at Crooked Little Studio. I'm on Facebook at Crooked Little Studio. I'm on YouTube. Basically, what I've done recently on YouTube is whatever shorts that I'm creating on Instagram, I just put those on YouTube as well.
Why not?
So on those three, those are my main ones. I have a web page, but honestly, it's kind of bare bones. It houses my courses. Eventually, I'll get a blog put together. I've got lots of email newsletters that I've sent out on
Mhm.
my if you sign up for my newsletter, if you sign up for anything of mine, you'll end up getting every other Tuesday. It's called Quick Tip Tuesday, just some little tip about gel printing or things that I do in my studio, those types of things. I'm going to turn all those into my blog. Yeah,
Great idea.
when I get to it.
Great idea. Before we wrap up, let's do a rapid fire.
Gosh, okay.
Okay, ghost print or first pull?
Ghost print.
You're not the first person to say that. Favorite color combination to print with?
Gosh, orange, yellow, and violet.
I have to say, you turned me on to my favorite, which is lime green and prism violet. And then I don't care what I put with it. I love that.
That's a good combo too.
I got that from you. Brayer, brush, or fingers?
Brayer.
Brayer. What's something weird you've printed with?
Gosh, I bought a little toy tractor to make tire treads through the paint.
I love it. I love it. So, studio must have coffee, tea, music, wine.
Coffee, music.
What kind of music?
I set Pandora, oh wow, Pandora to Nora Jones, Annie Lennox, that type of thing.
All right.
Sometimes 70s, yeah.
Good choices.
Hmm.
So, what advice would you share with someone just starting gel printing?
Like we said earlier, just play. Just play with it. Don't get caught up in what it looks like. Just play, see what you can do, and then once you start discovering things that you like, then run with that.
Excellent advice. Excellent advice. Diana, thank you so much. This was such a treat to talk with you, especially having taken one of your courses and seen you in action.
Well, thanks again for having me. I've enjoyed our talk.
Okay, so I will put all of the links in the show notes for the people who read show notes, and I encourage you to. And I'll try to put some visuals in there as well that Diana sent me earlier, so you can see some ideas of what we've talked about. So again, thank you, Diana. I really appreciate you being here.
Thanks a lot.
As Diana and I were emailing after we recorded this episode, she offered a coupon code to listeners of the podcast for her courses. I'm enrolled in all of them, and I cannot say enough good things. I'm especially bowled over by Pandora's palette and the difference that the order of paint application can make in the look of a final print. Diana has a great process for playing with your paint colors and creating a swatch book. I encourage you to look at it in Pandora's palette. Diana is offering a limited time $20 discount code on her courses. It will be good through September 26, 2025. It can be used on Lots of Layers, the Pandora's Palette bundle, or the bundle of Lots of Layers and Pandora's Palette. Just use the code 20BEYOND. That's 20 BEYOND, all caps on the word beyond. The links for Diana's courses are in the show notes, or you can find them at crookedlittlestudio.com. You can find the full show notes for Diana's episode at beyondthebrayer.com/Diana-Garrison. Be sure to check it out. The full show notes page includes pictures. Thanks for listening to this episode of Beyond the Brayer. If you enjoyed it, and if you think others might too, please leave a review over at podchaser.com or Apple Podcasts. If you've got any questions about gel printing, please join the Gel Print Enthusiasts Facebook group or email podcast@beyondthebrayer.com. I'd love to hear from you. Join us again next week for another interview with a popular gel print artist. Until next time, keep that brayer rolling.